Hi everyone, this is JJ from JJ Reads Tarot. This is my first daily draw video where I review my daily draws for the week in a video diary. And I'm doing this to get acquainted with some of my decks, to teach myself more about the tarot every day, and to see how my daily draws kind of connect as a weekly spread. I'm hoping to do these every, once a week, and hopefully with a lot of different decks. My collection is not as impressive as others I have seen on YouTube, but I'm eager to show them off anyway, and hopefully this will give me an excuse to buy more decks. So for the record of this daily draw, the first card I drew last Saturday, and the last card I drew this Friday, which is today, the day I'm shooting this video. So this week I used the Tarot of the Hidden Realm by, by Julia Jeffrey and Barbara Moore. If you read my blog, you know I have had kind of a ridiculously hard time connecting with this deck. And I stuck with it, and to be honest, I am so glad I did. This spread was incredible, and it was so insightful, and I can't wait to show you what I've got here, but I did a couple of things to connect better with the deck. Mostly, this is my new favorite trick, I kept this little piece of raw amethyst. I've never used crystals before. This is the bomb. I love this thing. I get such good, it just like completely it gets me in the zone. Before I move on to the cards, I think that to get the most out of this reading, for you guys, you should know a little background about my week. Just yesterday, I left a job I've had for a while now, because I actually got a really amazing opportunity regarding my writing career. And without going into too many details, I have a lot of mixed feelings about leaving this job, and the whole, because it's kind of important work to me, and it kind of was personal work to me as well, and I have a lot of mixed feelings about leaving. And the whole week I was kind of dreading my last day, which was yesterday, which was Thursday. So without further ado, I'm just gonna move on to the cards, and I'm gonna do kind of a one at a time reveal. So on Saturday, which was the first day I did my daily draw, I got the Ten of Swords reversed. So the Ten of Swords is usually a card about something coming to an upsetting end, accepting that things are not going to turn out well, or that things have not turned out well. But the Ten of Swords reversed is kind of about rebuilding after that, after the struggle. It's time to forge a new beginning for yourself, to kind of take a look at the wreckage and go, okay, what can I do to make something new for myself? And I was kind of creeped out by how incredibly accurate I felt like this card was for me, that up until this point at this other job I had, it was feeling like a struggle. Like the week, 2 weeks before, like really the weekend before I got this amazing opportunity, it was a really hard couple of days. The struggle was pretty intense, and it did start to feel like a battle. So then the next day, which was Sunday, I drew Death, and this was this was so zany. This was awesome because I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. These images are so similar. The figures look so incredibly alike, to me at least. Red hair, wild expressions, thin faces, and the colors are also so incredibly, these cards really do speak to each other in a very real way, and say kind of very similar things. That is, death is the card in tarot of inevitable rebirth, of change, and of coming out. This card especially is about a storm that is going to cleanse the fairy realm, more or less, and move it into the next cycle. So I was really thrilled. It was so interesting to me that her necklace here on the Ten of Swords has kind of a feather-like quality, even though I think it's actually supposed to represent the swords. There's 9 of these and 1 sword in her hand, and over here we've got the raven and her cloak made of feathers. And I thought that to receive the death was just to reinforce what I'd been reflecting on the day before, which is now it's time to move on and see this as a chance at rebirth of my life, of myself as a creative individual, as a person who's serving the world in a different way than I was at that other job. And I was kind of creeped out by how much these cards were speaking together to me. I was like, oh. So moving on to Monday, the next card I drew was the Moon reversed, which once again I was kind of creeped out about, because although this version of the Moon is a departure from these two other images, we've still got this character with this like wild red hair. The Moon reversed, usually the Moon upright, is about feeling lost and something is shrouded from you and confused. You're confused by unseen forces, darker forces. It's kind of more like a shadow card. But the Moon reversed is about coming out of that time, coming into intuition. You have heightened senses. People say when you get the Moon reversed, your psychic energies are really on point. Something that was unclear is becoming clear to you. And I felt I was like, yes, that is how I feel. That before I got the news about this opportunity for my career, for my writing, I was so confused about what I was going to do about this other job, because I knew I wasn't happy, but I didn't see a clear way out, or I didn't understand what a clear way out could be. So something else I thought about the Moon was how previously on these 2 days I thought my intuition was getting stronger, and I felt like the Moon was actually reinforcing that idea. So the next day, which was Tuesday, I got the Five of Swords reversed. Oops, you're a little tilty, aren't you? So the Five of Swords reversed, this is actually kind of weird and interesting. I have always interpreted the Five of Swords to be about feeling alone in a battle, feeling betrayal, feeling mistrust, feeling as if nobody's got your back, and being prone to doubting people, doubting the people around you, feeling as if you're in it by yourself. I love this interpretation of the Five of Swords. I feel like it completely conveys that message that I've always gotten from the card. That is a woman caught in a battle with these ravens. We see her with the scratch marks down her face, seeing that she's been marred, and she looks so defensive and weathered. And but reversed, I have read that the Five of Swords reversed is about leaving those feelings behind, leaving that grudge and that conflict and that betrayal. And this is so weird, because the night before I drew this card, I had this dream about this person who betrayed me many years ago, like this high school teacher of mine that was, she was awful. Like, she was really, it was so strange, because in the dream, I forgave her, and I told her I didn't care anymore, and I'm ready to move on. And it's been like 6 years since I've even really spoken to this woman. And then I woke up and I was thinking about that dream, and then I pulled this card, and I thought, like, that's so strange, because Dream JJ forgave this woman. I don't know if real JJ has actually forgiven this woman yet for what she did. That woman who was my teacher, because of what happened between us, I had to be pulled out of her class, and I was put into a creative writing class instead. And I do really think that class kind of did change my life and made me remember how much I loved writing. And I took a long time that day to think about why I was still angry at this person, why I still have all of these feelings of betrayal and about her. And I don't know, I feel like I got a little closer to reconciling that idea, those feelings, through this dream, and I wonder if there was some moon energy going on there, kind of coming to me and needing me to reflect on that moment for myself. So that was also really creepily accurate and strange and lovely to receive. So the next day, which was Wednesday, I got the Nine of Swords. I'm going to move a little back so you guys can see what's happening here. So something I absolutely adore about this deck are the colors and the way that the colors speak to one another. I feel like the palette is beautiful, and it's not all one palette is the thing across all the cards. One second, I'm going to just show you. But there are some cards that speak to each other color-wise in such a gorgeous way and tell a real color story in a way that really sparks at least my intuition and makes me think about the connections between them pretty strongly. So I looked at these cards all together and I felt so incredibly clear about the story that they were telling for me this week, and that they were very obviously connected. They just look like they belong together, right? So something I started to notice a lot of trends at this point. First of all of the figures are female. I know the Nine of Swords has short hair, but you can see that she's female there. She's a young female. They're all alone. I thought about how this is probably a week for me to be by myself, to focus on myself. A lot of them are pictured with animals, with birds specifically at this point. Death, the Five of Swords, and the Nine of Swords with the owl. We'll speak a little bit more on the Nine of Swords and the owl there. So I thought about what lessons can I draw from bird figures, I guess, from animals in the sky. I mostly, at this point in the week, I really saw myself here in the Nine of Swords. I think this is a less than traditional interpretation of the Nine of Swords. Usually the Nine of Swords is someone, you know, lying in bed dreading the inevitable end, or something horrible about to happen. And I don't feel this way about this card, and the guidebook also says something slightly different about this card. I think that this figure is anticipating something, some kind of great battle or something that should be scary, but she's so determined and is ready to face it even though it's going to be grim. Like, I see that in her face. And this was the day before I left. This was the day before my last day at the job. And I was definitely in that space, you know, I was dreading it more and more, but there was something about the way that she looks in this picture, ready to take on that challenge, refusing to be ensnared by that tree there that seems to be a hand closing around her. But the comforting feathers, which are supposed to be the 9 swords, there are 9 feathers there, that are falling on her, I think there's a symbolism of wisdom and preparedness. I love the wings in her hair, imitating the wings of the owl, that she is somehow growing out of youthful innocence into experience and into wisdom. And she's crouched and ready for anything, ready to go in and face this trial, and I took a lot of inspiration from that. So far I was having a fantastic time with this wonderful reading, and here we go to the Thursday, which is the day my last day at this job, and I drew the Four of Cups. I'm kind of in love with this image. I think it's really beautiful. For some context, it's kind of difficult to exactly decipher what's going on here. This is a woman, this is a selkie, which is a woman turning into a seal. There are 3 seals here, and the 4th seal, I think, which is supposed to be the Four of Cups, is her. And the guidebook speaks about this woman from the Fae world wanting to go into the world of the seals and now being caught between and always feeling emotionally dissatisfied, which is what the Four of Cups is about. So I noticed, once again, it's a woman, she's by herself, and she's with an animal figure, not a bird. This is definitely a departure from the other cards in the spread. As you can see, color-wise, that's something else. Like, once again, speaking about the colors in this deck, it's very clear that this is telling now a different story, which I thought was appropriate for this day. That is, that my story was changing pretty dramatically. It's the first first suit that's not swords, but pretty much entirely swords up to this point. And I felt a lot about how, when I drew this card, I'd spent so much time dwelling on how hard it was going to be to leave this other job that I didn't even take a chance to think about the amazing opportunity that had been presented to my career, more or less, in this writing gig, and also that I have what so many of my artist friends want, which is an art job that pays, a job in what we love, that's actually going to pay us. I mean, we do so much work for free just because we love it. We're hoping to basically get noticed somehow and capture the attention of a patron, and that's what kind of happened to me, and I was still emotionally dissatisfied because of all this other stuff. It was so weird. The whole day I felt emotionally dissatisfied, even though I had already drawn this card and was like on the lookout for that, but I really did feel kind of caught emotionally between two things, between wanting this and wanting that, and not reflecting on how grateful I should be. I was in a state of dissatisfaction. At the end of the day, I just kind of, validated those emotions and said, okay, this is how I feel right now, and but I need to focus on the task at hand, which is this writing project I have to do, and I have to ask myself to be happy, to be excited about that. That's the place I want to be in right now. And so the next day, which is today, this is the day I'm shooting this video, and my last card was the Nine of Cups. All the other figures are female, but this person is male in this card. The Nine of Cups is about achieving satisfaction, emotional satisfaction, getting what you want, more or less, reflecting on how happy you are. And I mean, this is gonna sound like crude, but today's the day I got paid. And the guy who's paying me is the director of the movie, and he's the director who's commissioning me to write this movie for him, is male, and I kind of see him kind of like physically handing me everything I've ever wanted, and today is the day I start writing this movie. Overall, things I noticed about this week, I thought this was just an incredibly clear reading in terms of my journey through this process. No court cards, I didn't feel like there were any other important people this week. It was about me, more or less. Working on this journey that I had to go through, focusing a lot on what was going on internally. Everything I had to deal with was my problem. As for the major arcana, only two, the Death and Moon, which are usually more of like shadow cards, I guess you'd call them. So I think that validated that spiritually this was a darker time in my life, or it was a time for me to go through something kind of dark and difficult in order to come out wiser, to come out clearer about my path. I feel like this just so perfectly visually encapsulates what's happened to me and what kind of transition I have made. Before leaving, I was caught in a struggle that was coming to an end. I was in a darker place. When I left the job on Thursday, I announced to people, Thursday's my last day at this job, and people who were wiser than me said, congratulations. And I was so confused by that. I thought, why congratulations? Why should I be congratulated for quitting? And they said, no, you didn't quit. You have completed something. You worked hard at this job, and you served something that you believed in, and it had to come to an end for something else you believe in. But that doesn't mean that it was a failure. So yeah, I feel I'm so happy with this week. I'm so happy with this deck right now. I'm crazy in love with it. It did wonderfully for me. I will swear by my little chunk of amethyst forever, I guess. I love you. And I can't wait to do another of these next week with a different deck. This is JJ, and this has been my week of daily draws. If you guys see anything else in the cards or have a response, feel free to mention in the comments or visit my blog. I'll have this posted there as well, and you can comment there. Thanks so much for watching.